I started out at 9 years old. Um, my parents got me a guitar for Christmas. Kind of begged them for it. It was an acoustic guitar, and the strings were like an inch away from the fretboard. And my fingers used to bleed, but I could learn chords. I could learn how to tune the guitar. I could learn simple songs. And I used to play every single day for a couple of hours. And eventually my fingers toughened up, and the following Christmas I talked them into buying me an upgrade, an electric guitar. And they bought me this Jedson. It wasn't any better than the acoustic, but it was just so cool to have an electric guitar. That really spurred me on, and I was getting a bit older then, and I was starting to really get into the music of the day. And somebody gave me, I think it was the next door neighbor, they gave me a collection of records, and they gave me Rubber Soul by the Beatles, The Wind Cries Mary by Jimi Hendrix, which is still one of my favorite songs of all time today. And that really just, skyrocketed me into wanting to be a musician. And then I got into Bowie and Bolan and Lou Reed. Music was everything to me. I flunked school because all as I could think about was the guitar and records and Top of the Pops. And had a great school friend who is still friends now online, and he and I used to go hanging out in Liverpool at the theatres and the hotels where all the bands, the rock stars and pop stars that we idolised would be playing and staying, and we used to meet them on a regular basis. I remember us meeting Queen and spending quite a bit of time with Queen, and that was when they were number one in the charts with Bohemian Rhapsody. So that was my formative years. I then left home at the age of 17, which was pretty young. I just had to get away. And so I had a couple of friends in London, and I ended up getting a train down there. I had £8 British pounds, and the train cost £4. So I arrived in London with just £4, and I lasted in London 13 years, so I must have done something right. I got a girlfriend, and we both ended up running Mark Bolan's fan club for him. It wasn't really an official fan club, but he was fully supportive of it, and we used to see him 2 or 3 times a week at one point. This would be in 1977, and he was a really cool guy, and super talented, and was an amazing inspiration to me. And yeah, this was 1977, and we did this for about 6 months, and he died in the September of 77 in a horrific car accident. After that, I started wanting to be in a proper band. I met a guy called Doc Hayes. He has a stage show called Doc Hayes and the Circus of Horrors. It's kind of like Alice Cooper on steroids. He's super talented, and it's amazing show. But anyway, he was forming a band, and he asked me to be in his band as a guitarist, and that was called Flash Harry. And we went around, we played colleges and pubs, and playing all his songs at the time. He was always a great performer, and he used to breathe fire over the audience, and it was a fun time. After Flash Harry, I joined up with a Japanese guy who was from a band called the Cuddly Toys. He was a drummer, and he had an uncle in Tokyo who had a management company, and he told me that his uncle would be able to secure a record deal once he formed a band. And I said, that sounds good. So I teamed up with him, and within about 2 weeks, we had the band, or he had the band formed. I originally joined as a guitarist, but he heard me singing, and he said, you can be the vocalist and the guitarist. He kept to his word, and his uncle got a record deal with Toshiba EMI, the Japanese version of EMI at the time. And we made 2 albums, and it was great just going into proper recording studios, proper engineers and producers, and coming out at the end of the day with a 12-inch vinyl record with like 12 tracks on it was just a dream come true. And we were called Panache, and Panache were actually very, very successful at that time in Japan. So the whole big in Japan thing was quite popular back in the 80s. There was quite a few bands that were not big in the UK or big in the States or anything, but were big in Japan. The Japanese just loved to have their own British bands that they could call their own. And Panache became one of them.